Kasani Timelang Khanya Lisedi. Hello everyone, welcome back to the one-on-one sessions with Coco. I'm sorry, and I'm your host Coco. Giving you guys tips, lessons, and teachings on everything spirituality. Okay, so this is a requested video. It's gonna be about speakers. Speaker, it is the prophetic cape, the capes that most prophets wear. So speakers come in different colors, different symbols on them, and they all have different meanings, and they represent different ancestors and also manners of working, right? So given the fact that there are so many like prophetic attires, because yeah, there are so many different types of speaker, this video I'm gonna be looking at solid colors, right, what they mean. The next video I'm gonna finish up on the other solid colors, because I'm gonna look at 5 of them and the rest next time. And also on the second video I'm gonna look at the symbols and what they mean, right? The third video I'm gonna look at the speakers that have different symbols, multiple colors and whatnot, what they mean, and then we're gonna jump into just quotes, right? So like I said, there's so many prophetic attires, so it's gonna take a lot of videos to actually go into all of them in details, but I'm gonna make sure they're not too far apart, that way you guys can get the information that you need. And when you're shown a certain speaker or prophetic attire, at least you have an idea on what they may represent for you, right? So I have my notes as usual, just so I don't forget anything, because some of them are so tricky. Because yeah. So exactly what is a speaker? I feel like a lot of people will be asking that. So speaker is a spiritual cape that is worn by prophets and some people that are members of the congregation or a church, right? It indicates a spiritual position and the type of ancestors that a person has. Né? In the case of a spiritually gifted person or a prophet, the speaker that you wear can indicate your spiritual hierarchy, in which level of spirituality you are in, whether you're in the beginning stages, the second stages, because there are different levels to this attire. Né? So meaning that when you've just started, there's a certain speaker that you're going to wear. When you've elevated to another level, a certain speaker will be given to you. That's how it works, right? So it also shows the manner of healing that you will work with, because remember in my last video about is to know the prophetic gift, I mentioned that there are different types of prophetic ancestors name, and with these different types of prophetic ancestors, each speaker can represent the type of prophetic ancestor that you have. And also at the end of the day, it also shows how it is that you connect with your ancestors in a way. So each speaker has certain ancestors that it calls and needs certain manners of connecting and communicating with your ancestors. They're not the same. They're literally all different and all have their own properties, perks and whatnot, right? I also noted down that a prophet can have as many speakers as they want, because personally I have how many are they? I have 8 speakers. Yeah, I know. And I'm not even talking about my other like prophetic regalias, which is quite weird, because you know me, I don't go to church, but I use them in my own way. And also you may have different robes, and you can also have as many robes as you want, right? So each speaker, okay, different speaker can represent different spirits, different ancestors, or the same ancestor who was working in different ways, right? And it's very important for you to understand the tasks that you need to do when you wear these particular speakers, because you cannot wear a speaker for asking for wealth while you want to look for guidance. You can't do it vice versa. That is actually not going to work for you. That is where, Lord, you'll be praying with your speaker, but nothing goes the way that it needs to, right? And also I noted down that speaker is a respected attire. This is not something that you just wear in J for fashion and whatnot. It is something that you need to respect. You cannot wear speaker when uchilafeji, when you're dirty. You cannot wear speaker when you're abusing your power as a spiritual person. That is utter disrespect to your ancestors. It's the same as church regalia, because when I was initiating, and yet I was doing both prophetic and traditional things. So one thing that my Gopela would tell me is that if uchilafeji, if you're not good on your body, né, you cannot wear the prophetic attire, your uniform. You cannot wear the uniform to church. That is a complete disrespect to your prophetic ancestor, and that can lead your prophetic ancestors to move away from you, and you do not want that, right? So it's very important to take note of your state when you're wearing this attire, to ensure that you're not disrespecting your ancestors in any way whatsoever. So the first Sphika that I want to look into, okay, so basically I'm going to be looking at the white, the yellow, the dark yellow, the green, the blue Sphika, and the leopard print, right? And in the next video I'm going to be looking at the red, the purple, the black, and the baby blue, or rather dark blue Sphika, which are the last ones. And then I'm going to look at the meanings behind the crosses, the moons, and the stars that you may have on your speakers on the next video, right? So what does the white Sphika mean? So the white Sphika, it is a divine Sphika. It is a Sphika that actually, or rather, let me just say cape. It is the cape that actually indicates divine ancestors. It is the one it connects the ancestors. So basically all speakers have their elements. They represent different elements of your prophetic ancestors. So the divine ones are the ones that I'd say the air element, but in a way they also connect you to your ancestors and to God, right? So I noted down that this Sphika is used to bring light onto a prophetic spirit, onto your prophetic spirit. So meaning that whatever prophetic spirits that you have, it will bring light onto those spirits. It opens door for all types of prophetic ancestors who come to you, and it also is used in prayer for guidance from your spiritual guides. So it's actually the foundation of your prophetic attire. When you start with your prophetic journey, usually you'll start with the white Sphika, unless if your ancestors have already taken you through certain prophetic procedures. So your Kobela, or rather the person who's assisting you, will see that you're supposed to start with a certain one. But this is the foundation of your Sphika attire. This is the first one that you're supposed to get, as it gives you the guidance and helps bring light onto your ancestors so they can connect and communicate with you properly, right? It assists you in your awakening stage to help guide you in the path that you'll be taking. This is where, as you're gonna get a lot of clarity from your ancestors, the type of candles you need to use, how you need to do certain things. It is the foundation of your spiritual journey as a prophetic person. It can also be used when going to spiritual spaces to call ancestors into the light, right? And whereas you'll be doing this, you'd find that certain people, their ancestors are scattered around. So this is a Sphika that can be used in most cases to call those ancestors and bring them into the light. In the cleansing procedure of your ancestors, you'd find that usually that is something that is done initially when you start with your prophetic journey. That is whereas this Sphika is going to be the first one that is used. So this Sphika is mostly used with a white candle, sometimes a yellow candle, but most people, you'd find that they're using it with 3 to 7 white candles. So these numbers are very important. Those are like spiritual numbers. The number 3 and the number 7, they're very spiritual numbers, right? But for 7, it is something you see when you've reached your highest level of spirituality. That is when you can move to 7 white candles, not 7 colorful candles, but 7 white candles. Okay, then we have the yellow Sphika. The yellow Sphika has 3 different categories. The first category, it is it is a Sphika that is used for fasting and prayer. Is whereby fasting and prayer are your strongest suit, right? So this is a Sphika that you use when you're praying, when you're in a spiritual mode where Lord, you're fasting and you're praying for a lot of things at the same time. So in the first category, it is for a prophet who serves the people. This is whereas it indicates that you are a person who's helping people, because the white one is a foundation for you to actually find guidance and to find healing in yourself, in your spiritual self, right? The yellow one is where you've elevated from yourself. You've done the healing that needs to be done for yourself, and you can now move to assisting and helping people that are in need. It doesn't mean that you're no longer going to wear the white Sphika. You can still wear it when you're helping people, but the second level is the yellow Sphika for helping people. It's a Sphika for light, not only for yourself, but also for your family and those that need your guidance and help. It is where the light that you have gotten, or the light that you have that is coming from this Sphika, is not only for yourself, but for those that are in need of this light. People with this Sphika are the peacemakers. You're the ones that bring clarity and peace within whatever environment that you're in. Hence, I've mentioned a lot that the ancestors want a peaceful space. So you being someone who has this speaker, you're the one who's responsible for bringing the peace into the household, into whatever household that you're assisting, man. You are given a responsibility to help and unite people. And this is where, as you unite even family members that have drifted apart, you unite ancestors that have been drifted apart, you have a very heavy task on your shoulder. This is only the second level, bear in mind, but you have a very heavy responsibility on your shoulder. It is a sign that you are now spiritually awakened and have the fundamental knowledge of your spiritual duty and lineage. Name, yes, your spirit, yes, there's gonna be more things that you're gonna learn along the way, but the knowledge that you have at this point is enough to help and assist your lineage and your ancestors if need be from there onwards, right? And lastly, your purpose is to break generational curses. So this is the Sphika that you use when you break generational curses. This is the Phika that you use when you pray and do rituals to break generational curses. It is the best one to get the results that you need as much as you can, as fast as you can, and in the ritual manner that your ancestors or your prophetic spirits tell you to do it. Okay, so we're gonna move to the second category of the yellow Sphika. So yeah, the second category of the of the yellow speaker is an indication that you are a child of the Abalozi spirit name. So when you have Abalozi, you'll find yourself being shown that you need to have the yellow speaker, right? And this also allows your Balozi spirit to speak to you clearly. You know that a lot of people have Balozi, they hear ringings in their ears and whatnot. But like I've mentioned in my previous video about them, when time goes on and you have elevated in your Balozi, my hair look good when I bring it like this. When you've elevated in your Balozi spiritual hierarchy, that's how I'm gonna put it, those ringings become voices. You actually understand what they're saying, right? You can understand what the whistles mean or the ringing means, or you can actually manifest into words like Wailongore. They are saying certain things, and most times you'd find them speaking in a different language altogether. But one thing for sure is that you'll completely understand what they are saying to you in that time, right? I also noted down that it also opens doors for the Abalozi blessings that you must have. So every spiritual gift that you have has its own blessings, has its own abundance. So when this speaker is worn for the purpose of the Balozi spirit, this is where, as a speaker, that will allow doors to open for the blessings from this particular spirit to come to your name. And oftentimes it is accompanied by a metal stick with a round top. So it's just that I don't have that one with me right now. Okay, but it's fine. So there's this very long metal stick, and on the top, instead of a cross name, you'd find that it has a circle, like sort of like talk, sort of like you see those sticks for old granddads and whatnot. Yeah, but it's a metal. You got what I'm saying. Yeah. And also, you are a powerful. You are more powerful in healing with water, meaning that you're someone who can pray for water, give it to a person, and this person will heal while you're wearing this Sphika from the water that you prayed with. And also it is used to protect you from negative energy and spells. So this also a spiritual, is like a spiritual shield. This Sphika protects you from negative energy. That is why you find people wearing it. Usually got the gatherings at churches, you know, they have the chiso and whatnot. Those are like, yeah, I don't know what they're called in English, but like ceremonies in churches, like apostolic churches and whatnot. So this speaker can actually protect you from any spells or negative energy or spiritual attacks that may be prepared for you in those particular ceremonies and gatherings. Because one thing that I feel like we should all know is that rituals, gatherings, funerals, parties, marriages, weddings, not marriages, weddings, though that is where most people come with like muti, right? So this Sphika can protect you from all of those things when used the right way, right? And lastly, we have the third category of the yellow Sphika, which is going to be a bit of a dark yellow as opposed to a light yellow, right? So in general, one thing that I want to emphasize, Corey, the speaker, the yellow Sphika, like yellow generally ke kganya lesedi, ne? So kganya lesedi is light, and Lesedi is also light. I don't know what Lesedi means. Oh my god, am I even so too? What's wrong with me? But like it's light and abundance and sunlight. So it's actually like is the sun. Basically, this Sphika is the sun in its own self. Remember that the sun is also a spiritual aspect, the same as the moon is also a spiritual thing. So yeah. Okay, but anyways, the third category is the dark yellow Sphika. And this one is used to remove financial blockages. So if you're someone who has financial blockages and you have this particular Sphika, this is the Sphika that you use for that. It is for rituals for removing blockages in your life, right? Yes, how you do these rituals depends on what you know in terms of how to do it, but it is the right one to remove financial blockages. Ne? This pika sa chelet is pika of wealth, and one at the same time, this pika sa khanya le lehumo la manyeloi. Ne? So khanya le lehumo la manyeloi. Khanya, like I said, it means light. Lehumo, it's actually, it means wealth. Name. So the wealth of the ancestors or the wealth of the angels, it differs with every single person. Wealth is not necessarily materialistic or monetary wealth. It can be wealth in other aspects, wealth in power, wealth in helping people, wealth in doors opening. Well, like there's just so many things that you can be wealthy in. So I don't want you guys to actually confuse it, but it is Sphika as a chelet, which means it is a speaker for money. It is the speaker that you use for financial freedom, financial whatever. Well, guys, like it's cool, but you get what I'm saying. It indicates the duty to cleanse certain spirits within the family. So most of the times when you get this Sphika, it can also indicate that there are certain spirits that are in darkness. Given the fact that your speakers are light, it's a speaker for light, it's a cake for light. That means that you have a duty to bring certain spirits and ancestors into the light, right? And whereas you'll be using this speaker to bring light, there are certain rituals of removing darkness on certain ancestors that require you to wear the Sphika so these rituals can be a complete success, right? And thirdly, I mentioned that you are meant to fix your family problems, name. And whereas you are meant to fix family problems, it doesn't necessarily have to be generational curses, but it can be like minor problems to very serious problems that are there within the family. So meaning that the white one, okay, the other one there, the light yellow one, is your peacemaker, name. But the dark yellow one means that you are the fixer of things. As opposed to just maintaining the peace or keeping the peace within the family, you are also there to make sure that you fix the problems that are there within the family. Your duty is to help those that are in the family. It's not only for you to take all of these blessings and abundance and keep them to yourself and say, here I am, but also at the same time, you need to make sure that you help and assist those within your family. That is your birthright at the end of the day. The third Sphika that we have, it is the green Sphika. Okay, so the green Sphika is for the prophetic ancestors of the mountains. Like I said, the white one is a divine spirit. Moya, moya. Yeah. That is what's written in English. But moya in a spiritual way is like the Holy Spirit, right? And the yellow one is the sun. It is light in life, light. And the green one is for the mountains, right? So whereas it's for the mountains, this is whereas you find yourself being someone who is connected with nature a lot, right? You do your rituals in nature, you do your rituals in the mountains. Your element is basically the earth element, right? And also it works you also work to maintain and create peace as well, because generally I would say that prophecy on its own or prophetic gift on its own, it's about being peaceful. That's why when you're a prophetic person, you find yourself like avoiding conflict at all costs, because your ancestors cannot work in a space that is not peaceful at all, right? You work to maintain peace. So yes, with the yellow one, you create peace, you fix family problems. The green one, you maintain the peace that you have created, right? Number 4, it connects you to Zionic ancestors and prophets, right? So meaning that you might have Zionic ancestors within your lineage. It's not the same for everyone, but some people you find that you have Zionic ancestors where Longoring, it connects you to those ancestors. Let's say, for instance, you're someone with a prophetic gift and you have multiple prophetic ancestors. Some prophetic ancestors are in apostolic churches while others are in the Zionic church, right? So when you wear this Sphika, you're also representing the ones that use the Zionic manner of healing, meaning that you're very diverse in your healing procedures, whereas you even know certain Zionic remedies to heal and help people in certain ways, right? I also noted that it requires grounding and prayer at the mountains frequently. So grounding, there's a lot of things you do for grounding: sunbathing, moon bathing, walking around with bare feet, dancing. Like you see in apostolic churches, they play drums, they blow whistles, they dance. It's one of the best things ever. Like honestly, the first time I experienced that was like, oh my gosh, I want to keep experiencing that. But then again, I'm not a church person, so I only went there a few times and that was it. But like, it requires you to ground yourself, and grounding yourself is different. Like, there's a lot of ways to ground yourself, like the ones that I've noted down there. And when you ground yourself, you also are required to go to the mountains and pray, get the water from the mountains on a regular basis to continue to uplift and feed the spiritual gift. And one thing that I want to note down, guys: spirituality, or your spiritual gift that you have, you don't just go and initiate and say that you're done. Your spiritual gift, you maintain it, you strengthen it. As time goes on, you become stronger in your spiritual gift because you maintain and strengthen it. If you go and do spiritual work and then you're like, I'm done, I'm not doing anything else, I won't maintain it, I'm not going to the mountains, I'm not praying, then you'll become weaker as time goes on, right? I also noted down that you'll often hear drums playing in your ears because it is connected with nature. The drums are very important, right? You will also, it is also evoked through water rituals, which is quite different from the other ones, whereas those ones are evoked through fasting and prayer and whatnot, but this one, it is evoked through water rituals. I understand that is a spirit of the mountains, right? But even at the mountains, there are caves that have water. You can also, even in nature, you have the diba, the spiritual ponds and whatnot. Those are also a part of nature. So meaning that those are also aspects of things that you have to use as someone who has a green Sphika. And sometimes when you go to those places, it's very important for you to wear that green Sphika to ensure that you also feed those ancestors, those prophetic spirits that are within you. Né? And also, a bird's nest is also very essential for you in evoking the spirit. So basically, you'd find that when you have this type of spirit or this type of prophetic ancestor that requires a green Sphika, you find yourself in a place where the birds are just following you around. And most of the times, a nest is needed in the ndumba or wherever it is that you're working to ensure that those spirits are fed, they're evoked, they are appeased in whatever way they need to be appeased, right? Number 4, we have the blue Sphika. So the blue Sphika is the spirit of the water. It's a water prophetic spirit, so its element is water. Often you use water for healing as opposed to using the wash. So yes, with the other Sphikas, those are the ones where you use izuwash, you use salt and whatnot. But with this one, strictly you find yourself being someone who uses water on a regular basis. You're connected to Balozi of the rivers and Mdawe of the rivers, and also Inzunza spirit. So meaning that you are a prophetic ancestor who's also connected with all the other water spirits that are there. And whereas this is the case, your prayers are heard when you use a glass of water in terms of praying, or also when you pray at the river and whatnot. When evoked it is evoked in the river through the process of uparula. Your Mdawi spirit is aligned with your Stunya in this case, meaning that you have to go through that procedure of uparula when you have this Sphika to ensure that you evoke the spirit, and it goes hand in hand with your Mdawi spirit. And also, it is used to restore forgotten gifts and knowledge from your lineage, and often you see things intuitively. So there are certain things that have been forgotten, like certain teachings that most of us have forgotten, or they have been forgotten throughout ages and whatnot. So when you have this Sphika, you find that you are then shown, taught certain things that have been forgotten, rituals, customs within your lineage, within your clan, within your family, within your bloodline, right? So this is a Sphika of knowledge on top of everything else, right? And it's also a Sphika that actually indicates someone Oilongore is on a high level. Most of the people that have this Sphika are high prophets in churches, pastors, bishops and whatnot, and hence that is why you might find that they also have blue jas coats and whatnot, even though the blue might be darker and whatnot, but generally the blue indicates this royal type of prophetic gift that a person has, ne? A royal prophet in a sense, ne? And lastly, we have the leopard print Sphika, ne? Which is basically my favorite. Like, I love the leopard print Sphika like nobody's business. So this is an indication that your studio is represented with the sun, is combined with your prophetic, or not prophetic, your sangoma cat. So this is Istunya that goes hand in hand with your Mguni ancestors' name. It represents a male spirit in most cases, and these are spirits of chiefs and high authority healers, meaning that the person who is governing you, or the person who gave you this gift, was of a high authority level. Ne? It could have been a chief, it could have been a royal person, stuff like that. Someone from a royal bloodline, a king of some sort. Those are the people it represents. Ne? And at the same time, you find that people that have this Sphika will also have a lot of dreams, whereas they're seeing lions, leopards, and whatnot. That also shows the union of the prophetic ancestors and the traditional ancestors that are in the lineage. Ne? I also wrote down that it brings equality to all prophetic and traditional spirits, meaning that this is an attire that actually joins the ancestors to actually make sure that they are all appeased equally. So when you're wearing it, you're not only appeasing your prophetic ancestors, but you're also appeasing your traditional ancestors, meaning that you can patla, you can pray while you're wearing it, and no ancestor will be blocked within this process, right? You connect with ancestors through the forest and open lands. So this is an earth element as well, but not the earth element where you have to go to the mountains, but it's the earth element whereas you go to the wilderness. We are places like Sibatabadimu, an open field, open lands, the woods and whatnot. You pray there, you partner there, you do your rituals there, and that is where as you'll be able to connect with this particular type of prophetic ancestors even more. So not all these prophetic ancestors require you to go to church to evoke them. Yes, some do, but others not so much, right? The green one, church is very important as well because the drums evoke it even more. But this one, going to the wilderness, and the blue one, going to the rivers and the mountains, going to the rivers is the thing that actually helps evoke it, right? And also another thing that you need to note down is that it is used for prayer in terms of joining your ancestors, and it is also used for prayer in terms of protection. So when you want to join your ancestors and you have the Sphika, is the right speaker for you. When you want to pray for protection, you feel like you're going through spiritual attacks and whatnot, is the right speaker to use, né? And also it is used for spiritual warfare and salvation, meaning that when you pray for protection, when you're going through spiritual warfare, it is the one that actually allows you to win these fights and whatnot. And the reason that is the case is because that's the spirits of fighting. These are the spirits that fight for you and your lineage. These are spirits that use both traditional and prophetic things, meaning that the people that have this Sphika can also work in using, or rather they can mix the two, right? For instance, you find that one healer can only use water, another can only use traditional things, another can only use duwasho, but this ones, they can use all these things at once to bring healing into a person. They are sort of like one of the highest levels of prophetic ancestors, right? So yeah, that is it on the first 5 speakers that I have for you guys. I didn't want to put all of them because it's going to be a very long video, and I hate long videos. Even I don't watch long videos too much. So yeah, but that is it on speakers. Remember, I did mention that these are respected attire, so when you do have them, please bear in mind you have to respect them at all costs. These are not attires to play with. And on our next video, we'll be looking at the other colors. And I'm also going to make a video on an attire we call Monazareta, which is one of my favorites. Hey, but I don't know if I should share too much about that one. You guys are going to abuse it. Okay, let me stop playing around. But anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope this video was very informative. And for those of you guys that have questions about Sphika, I hope it gave you guys the answers that you needed. And there's gonna be more where as I go into other speakers, just codes, and also the ropes, that way you understand what most of them mean for you, because I know some people may see these things, may have some of them, but may not really understand exactly what they are for. Hence these videos are created. And thank you so much to the person who requested it, because I really didn't think of making a video about this, but it's a good thing you did. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me. Have you guys a beautiful one. Takazani. Bye bye.